Good day, good people. I'm Dr. Johnny Pierce, but you could just call me Johnny, and this is the Actually Well podcast. And today I am with,
Abbie Shlesinger.
yes, Abbie and I worked together for a time over at Insight, and now she is where?
I am here at Lindsay Hoskins Family and Couples Therapy in Sterling, Virginia.
Nice. It's a beautiful space. I just got a tour. It's really nice. Like the decor in here is like, yes. And I mean, if I had the time, I would just do a tour of that. But today we're actually going to talk about Abbie because that's why I'm here. And Abbie, what do you do?
So I am a supervisee in social work, which means I'm still learning how to be a therapist.
We're forever learners. Everybody's still learning.
And that's what I love about this field is that we are always learning, lifetime learning. I'm really happy to be here at Lindsay Hoskins because really several reasons, but the space, right?
Yeah.
Like we've got family rooms, we're here in a teen room, we've got a playroom, which allows me to work with all sorts of different populations, which is really important to me as I'm learning and still figuring out who I work best with. I'm finding that I work really well with neurodivergent individuals.
How about that?
Yeah. And then as kind of in finding that niche for myself, I'm finding that I'm ending up working with a lot of clients who are living with OCD. And so I am getting some specialized training. I'm working with Dr. Carol Jeffries she's in Centerville, Virginia. So we meet weekly. We're going through some higher level OCD training material. I do a lot of peer consultation around that work. So that is an area of focus, but I work with individuals, couples, families, a little bit of everybody right now. Yep.
Okay. Now, what you're going through right now is a common experience for anybody who does, come into the field, gets licensed. We all go through supervision. We all go through training periods. And this is a great time to refine kind of who are the populations that you find yourself most comfortable with. And I mean, the neurodivergent community is one that's getting more and more attention these days. So you won't be lacking for clients. But one of the things that's been cool about getting to know you over the years is that this is not the field that you started in.
No.
So tell us a little bit about your journey.
So I started out working in direct mail fundraising. So I don't know if you've ever gotten a piece of mail from Doctors Without Borders or St. Jude or, an organization such as that.
Yeah.
And that's what I did for 14 years. I helped plan, print, proofread, and mail these mass mailings. It was a very fast-paced industry.
I imagine a lot of paper cuts.
Well, thankfully, I wasn't stuffing too much of the mail myself, but I did have to open it and check it. So there were some.
That's scary. Always scared of paper cuts.
Yes.
Those things never seem to go away.
No. And big budgets, lots of stress. And I always knew it wasn't the be all end all for me. But I wasn't quite sure what the next step was. Every 6 months or so, I would go online and look at the Career Switcher program in Fairfax County and think about teaching. But that just didn't feel like quite right either. And then during COVID, I got to know a neighbor really well. She's an LCSW with her own private practice. And I told her, I'm not really satisfied with what I'm doing, not sure what I want to do instead. I told her about my interests, my passions. My undergrad degree was in history, and I got to really make that my own. And I shared with her that I wrote a lot about, women's access, pregnant and parenting women's access to higher education or civil rights movement. And she said, that sounds like social work. And so I started researching and learning, and MSW felt like the right fit for me, especially having that nonprofit background, because if the clinical work, if I wasn't good at that, it didn't work out. I thought, well, I could still go into nonprofit management, advocacy. The MSW seemed useful across different options. Yeah.
The woman with many plans.
Yes. And I literally wrote a 5-year plan.
Okay.
I think we're in year 5. And
how's it going?
It's going according to plan. This process of post-graduation working towards licensure is a little bit longer than I had expected, building a caseload and figuring out where you want to specialize. But I'm right on track. And
beautiful.
And I love it. It feels like a calling, and it feels like I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
With everybody that I've actually talked to during these interviews that are in the field, that's a common thread that kind of comes up over and over again, is that this does feel like something that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it feels natural. And it's not that everybody has a straight shot in terms of their journey to get there, but once they land in the space, it's like, yeah, this is the way I need to go.
Yes. Yes.
Now, in terms of your own journey as a person, in any kind of wellness journey you've had, what, if anything, would you want to share about that?
Wow. That's a big question.
I asked the big ones really early in the interview. That way we have time.
You're obviously good at formulating the right questions to get people talking about themselves.
I put it in ChatGPT. I'm kidding. I don't use ChatGPT. I literally have it on none of my devices.
I came from a unique, as many of us do, family background, complex family system. And I think there's certainly shaped me in many ways. I'm not sure how to answer the question, to be quite honest.
Well, just think about it like this, and this is kind of how I'm actually encouraging people who are watching the podcast to think about it. Like, we're all doing, I think, our best each day. And sometimes we're more informed about what we need to do in terms of self-care. Sometimes we're less informed about what to do in terms of self-care. And sometimes it starts to get revealed because, like, we run into these roadblocks. So, somebody who's constantly tired, but they're working really hard and they're taking care of their family, or, got a good social life, but they find themselves feeling empty in some way. So there's just like something that kind of reveals itself over time as, this is not an area that I've got it figured out in, and I probably need to do something about this. And then, how, if at all, especially given what, the schooling background you've gone through and the help that you provide to others, you've translated what you know into what you do.
Yeah. I think when we reframe it that way, and ask about sort of that personal journey of identity and how I got here, again, kind of growing up in a certain, as we all do, right? As a family system that comes with its own values and ideas, rules, roles, responsibilities, and not knowing that there's something outside of that. Right. There's another way of doing things.
Yeah.
I think that has been a big transformative part of my journey, my process, my self-care now. For me, this career, this process of learning has been a huge part of my self-care, of knowing that I can create my own sense of identity, of wellness, separate from
what you were taught,
what I was taught. Yeah, right. Exactly. So, and when it comes to self-care, of course, I was thinking about this interview leading up to it, what I might want to talk about. And for me, I would say my self-care is the same that I would encourage a client to try to practice, where when we meet, I say, all right, we're going to talk about bio, psycho, social, spiritual, and environmental aspects of self. And
5-point plan.
We got a 5-year plan, 5-point plan. And, it's a mindfulness practice. It's a constant sort of mindfulness of what is going on biologically? Like, how is my sleep? How is my nutrition? Am I moving my body? Have I had my annual exam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Psychologically, what's the family history there? Yeah. Are there certain things I need to be aware of, mindful about? Social, spiritual, environmental. We go through all of it, and I have to do that for myself. And
Most definitely.
I have to be honest with myself about it. I'm the type of person that is not going to thrive with a prescriptive, although we're talking about plans. If I gave myself like a prescriptive diet or a prescriptive exercise routine, it's not going to happen. And the more prescriptive, the less likely it is to happen.
Are you a little rebellious?
I think I've got a little bit of that. What is it? Pervasive demand for autonomy situation.
I've never even heard of that before. So look that up.
Yes. You heard of like a PDA profile?
No.
So
teach me. I'm forever learning.
Oh my goodness. All right. So some folks will say, kiddos with ADHD, for example, or autistic individuals might have a pathological demand avoidance. It's not in the DSM.
Well, of course not.
But you can check it out. I don't know that there's really a lot of research to even support this, but it's a term you see thrown around.
Okay.
And I think some more neuro-affirming folks have created a counter term, this persistent demand for autonomy, and this idea that the more we try to
control,
the more we are going to sort of
resistance.
Get resistant to that. I feel that applies to me in my life as well.
And the second that you said it out loud, which even though I've never heard the term before, I could like relate to it and also think about it in terms of wellness, because we want people to want to be autonomous. We want people to want to shape their lives in whatever way that they can. And regardless of where a person may fit on the spectrum or their neural capabilities, like we want that person to feel like they have a hand in shaping their life, especially once they reach a certain age, because the responsibilities are going to fall on them. So if you've got to get up every morning, you got to go to work.
Right.
If you got to pay bills, you got to take care of your family, you got to take care of yourself. You're going to want to have some say over how that works out.
Right.
Because otherwise it just kind of feels oppressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That intrinsic motivation piece of what makes my life meaningful to me, worthwhile, and how do I create systems and ways to be successful towards my goals for myself. Right.
Indeed.
And that's so much of working again with individuals or adolescents or families. How do we help everybody level load their goals? How do we help parents understand, well, your kiddo's goal, it needs to be uniquely their goal, so that they have the willingness and the motivation to work towards that. And so I guess that plays into self-care too, is like, well, what do I want for myself? What do I want for my life? How do I want to show up? There's a lot of values work to it. And so, yeah, for me, self-care is sleep. It's always sleep. Sleep is the foundation.
I promise you. Listen,
I saw that podcast.
I have not paid a single person to mention sleep. I literally had a phone conversation with somebody I'm going to be interviewing later on. And they said, yeah, I really have been working on my sleep. I know why people protect their sleep now. And I'm like, see, I'm not paying people for this. I do appreciate you watching the podcast though. But yeah, I'm not paying people for this. Sleep is foundational.
I would say, that's the only one that I would say is maybe more prescriptive, because it's pretty easy to do. You know, it's enjoyable.
Nothing like
to feel good and get a good night's sleep.
Indeed.
But otherwise, it's really doing that 5-point assessment of myself in space and time. How am I doing? What do I need to do? I need to dial up
physical activity.
Some physical activity. Do I need to dial up some social interaction? What do I need in my home environment to feel like we have some organization or systems in place that everyone's able to be more cohesive with each other? So it's that simple and that hard, right?
Well, I'm supposed to be writing this book called Easier Said Than Done, because most things of value are easy to talk about in terms of just the logic behind them in many cases, or, the elemental steps that you have to take in order to accomplish it. But then when it's time to put the foot down and actually take the step forward, oftentimes it's some kind of good explanation for why that's just too hard to do, or it's inconvenient or something along those lines. But when you mention being prescriptive, one of the things that I've routinely said, whether it's been on podcasts here or Insights and Actions, the other podcast with Insight and Action overall, or it's just in a session, I can't prescribe wellness. Like, I am not the wellness giver. Like, I am not the one who defines wellness for anybody that I'm working with. And I think in our field, the better we get at realizing none of us can do that. Like, that's not just something that's like I'm negligent in, or I'm just like not knowledgeable enough about. Like, none of us have that ability. And we make it a collaborative process with our clients and draw in their knowledge about themselves. Like, when do you naturally feel sleepy? When do you naturally wake up? Have you ever tried to find out what that looks like? How many hours you need? Because the 6 to 9 hour range that we're given out there, that is a general range. That may not apply to you, but give yourself the opportunity to find out like what it would be like to go to sleep at whatever time you get sleepy and wake up whenever you feel rested. What does that look like? Or, what do you need from your diet? Some people are super active, have a high metabolism, and they can eat stuff that most people probably should stay away from. But because of how high their metabolism is, they burn it off super quick. Like, how much are you learning about yourself in the journey to your wellness?
Yes.
And not everybody thinks about it that way.
That is such an important part of, and even again, I am nervous, you guys. This is my first podcast. And so I'm driving here thinking, all right, what do I want to talk about? And there is this element of like self-identity, self-awareness and a self-acceptance. And yeah, for me, I have accepted like the prescriptive process is not going to work as well. But so what do I know about myself? What do I need? Where do I get stuck? The therapeutic process is a wonderful place to start to learn those things about ourselves.
Right.
And that's another reason, you know, for me, this career is a huge environmental piece of my own self-care.
Yeah.
I actually find that this type of work, the flexibility of it, the intrinsic curiosity of it, the continuous learning, it fills a huge part of what I need, you know, to take care of myself, and to feel like I'm contributing back, you know, while also kind of working on myself.
It's a both and process.
Yeah. And it's a huge social component too, to get to be here, to get to learn from other professionals, other helpers, from our clients.
Right.
Is a tremendous gift that also kind of fills my social bucket. So, you know, it's really, how do you do your self-care? I mean, it seems like such a simple question. It's really a complex thing to really ponder and consider. How do we take care of ourselves so that we are actually well?
You know, she dropped the name of the pod. That's a first. Yes, Abbie. Yes, dropping the name of the pod in the pod.
Yeah, and show up in the world in the way that we want to be showing up. And we, you know, I absolutely, I mess up, I get stuck.
You're human.
Oh, yeah, it's very annoying, actually. But yes,
it's quite annoying to be human. Like, oh God, why?
Yes, very human. But again, that's why I like that process of when I feel stuck, I can kind of go like, what area needs some attention right now?
Right,
yeah.
Right. Now, before we started recording, as you were telling me kind of what's been going on with you, apparently you just got back from Dallas.
Yes.
Why were we down there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm so glad you asked about this. I was at a conference for an organization called the Young Men's Service League. So it's a national nonprofit that started down in Dallas, Texas, but is now, I think they're in maybe 23, 25 states.
Okay, halfway there.
Yep. So they've started local chapters all across the country. We were celebrating their 25th anniversary. And it's an organization of mothers and their high school age sons who do service together out in their local community. So the young men are required to do 20 hours of service each, like, you know, August to May kind of school year throughout their high school years. 10 of which need to be served with their moms. But I think we're going to be increasing that because the moms really want more time with their young men.
Of course.
And then there's also a component of the young men have monthly meetings. They have leadership positions within the chapter where they've got to run the meeting. They have to teach life skills or coordinate the events with the philanthropies, research the philanthropies. So it's really been an amazing organization. A couple of moms in my neighborhood came to me 2 years ago and they said, hey, we want to start a chapter in our neighborhood. Would you like to be involved? I said, absolutely, yes, sign me up. And I, you know, there's kind of this joke of, oh, this is how the moms are going to get their sons into college, or this is going to look good on college applications.
Can things be multiple things at once? Like, can we actually stop this process of, like, if something is good in one way and could be beneficial in another way, that one thing that it could be beneficial in overrides it being good? Like, what harm is it for young men to do some community service? What harm is it for young men to spend time with their mothers doing community service? If that looks better on their resume for college, oh, well, what about the life skills those guys are getting?
It's the life skills. And I mean, even my own son, one of the first events we did, we joined Special Olympics bowling out in Leesburg. And I could just tell the first time he went in, he was kind of out of his element and not quite sure how to interact with individuals with disabilities. And by the end of the 3-hour event, he's high-fiving, he's helping people up and down a step, he knows everybody's name. And then we went back week after week, we made relationships. We've actually seen some folks, you know, out in the community, and they come up and they say hello. You know, we've greeted veterans at honor flights, learned that our local YMCA has a weekly free market for individuals. They can come in and they can choose. It's not just, oh, here's a box of what we've picked for you. They can actually choose the produce that they would like that week. Or
we're going to definitely have to put that link in the description, because put it out in the community. We are here in Northern Virginia, and people need resources.
Yes, there are so many. So it's been really wonderful to see my son and his peers just grow in their knowledge of what resources are out in the community, and their ability to interact with, folks from different backgrounds.
Right. And be contributing members of society. That is our job as parents. We are not here to coddle our children all the way up until the point where we're no longer here. We are here to equip our children so that they can become the young adults that ultimately replace us in the workforce, in the community. Like we're here to launch them. They're not ours. I had this brought up in one of the interviews I did. Somebody was saying how, they came to realize our children are not ours. Like we have them to shepherd them, but they're not ours. We don't possess them. Right. And I very much see parenting through that lens, and what you're doing with your son. And I've met him. He's a nice young man, very nice young man. He's a very dutiful guy. And, you've done a great job. You and your husband have done a fantastic job. And I'm sure that, he's just going to keep on developing. And then you've got your little guy too.
Yes, so I have 3 kiddos, and the oldest, he is a nice young man. We're struggling through some grades, right? We gotta go through the cycle
of academics, that too. Right? Okay, yes. I get that.
But that's, again, it's we learn how to manage our time, and what do I need to be my best self in these different areas of my life, right? So I have a daughter as well. She's 13, so that's been fun. I think seventh grade is the hardest.
Our daughters have got to get back together, because my oldest just turned 12, and she wrote her a nice little letter and everything. But she got to get her stuff together so we can get everybody back together. We gonna make it work.
These kids, man,
just gotta get it together outside of the home and in the home.
So I actually say if we think about parenting from a biological perspective, right? Like when we talk about being in a survival situation, I think parenting is like the ultimate survival situation, right? From an evolutionary perspective, right? Like our job from an evolutionary standpoint is to help the next generation of
make more people
of humanity thrive, right? And so when our kids are struggling, it really
can be challenging.
Threatens us, right? And we feel uncertain and anxious. And so that's actually been a big part of in the past few years, realizing parenting competence is like a huge part of my own self-care. I need to feel really competent as a parent. Yeah. And what does that look like in terms of learning or having a community of other parents who are helping build me up in this process, again, depending on our own background, the types of parenting models we had or didn't have. So that's a big part of it for me too. But
most definitely.
So 13-year-old daughter, and then a son who will be 11 this week.
Wow, he's going to be 11.
Yes. So everybody's getting.
Where did time go?
I know. Everybody is growing, and that's it. It always keeps me really busy. But this back to the conference, it was amazing. And that was an act of self-care too, to take some time away, to connect with other moms, to connect with something bigger than myself.
Yeah.
And think about, okay, how can we bring these values and principles of service and leadership back to not just our family and our own young men, but our community.
Right.
Yeah.
So. Yes. I know there's been a lot of conversation about poor behavior, beyond poor behavior, unacceptable behavior on the part of guys across the country, across the world. And as a guy, I'm looking forward to Men's Mental Health Month. I want to do something similar to what I'm doing with Women's Mental Health Month in June for Men's Mental Health Month. But guys, we got some work to do. It's not just about who you are as an individual. It's about who you allow to be around you, what you find to be acceptable, stories you hear, what you laugh at, what you stand up for, what you sit down and are quiet about. Like all of these things are a part of being a guy. And this program that you mentioned sounds fantastic, because it's helping young men learn this is the diversity of things that is expected of you as a part of the bigger community. Like it's not just enough to be a good student. It's not just enough to behave well at home. You're going to go out into the world. How do you show up?
Yep.
Are you somebody who's there and other people feel safe when you're around? Are you somebody who's there and people got their eye out to see what you're doing? Like, what are you bringing to the space? And I even had a session the other day where I was talking to a young man. I said, like, listen, man, we have a certain responsibility. We have a certain responsibility. We need to be aware of ourselves and the spaces we go into, how we talk about things while we're in those spaces, who we talk to and the way we talk to them. Like, we have that responsibility and we should be excited about that. It's not to say that ladies don't have that responsibility as well, but when people think about who's dangerous and who's not, I literally ask them, like, if you saw two people walking down the block, man and a woman, and from a distance they seem to be getting animated, who do you think is in danger? He's like, well, the woman. I'm like, exactly. Now imagine you walk closer and you find out that the two of them are animated because they were laughing about something. Think about the relief you feel. He's like, oh. I'm like, exactly. Like, it may not be fair in some people's minds, it may not be right in some people's mind, but we have to acknowledge it. You talked about biology, you talked about evolution. Like, that's a thing. That's a thing, and I think guys have to make it their responsibility to see that as a thing that we need to actively be working on. Period.
Yeah.
Simple as that. But that's the end of that PSA for now.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to think about and unpack there. For where we are right now, it's just, I want my kiddo to be thinking about, like, not even that he is a young man, right? Like, that's an identity, not just a kiddo, not just a boy, but and I try to use that language when working with my adolescent clients as well, like young man, young woman, like, what are we moving towards? What do you want for your life? Exactly. How can and it's empowering too, because you do have some choice in this. You do have some agency in this. There's so much to explore and uncover in that whole line of thought there. But it was really just very nice to know. I mean, to see a sea of a giant conference room full of moms and sons. Yeah, who really are invested in talking about how they want to give back. And then also there's that educational component for them too. There were some conversations around different organizations and apps that are pushing out content from current college students or recent grads, talking directly to these high schoolers, boys, male and female, around like pitfalls of sports betting, or how to choose classes, or what if you think you want to take a gap year. Just, I think we're unfortunately, so many of us are just in our phones, in our daily grind, and it's hard to connect to our values. Right. And so we need to be able to, like, look up, hear from others about what's actually happening in the world. Right. And how do I want to move through that? Right. And who's going to help me? We're not alone in this. Community. Yes. Community. If there's been two things that have come up consistently in these interviews, it's sleep and community. So we hit check. We pulled it off. But to wrap up, I was always, thinking about this when I started this process. I'm like, I want to learn about ladies because, again, I'm not the knower, I'm the forever learner. And obviously I've been fortunate to be raised in a family full of women. I've talked about it in podcasts past. I've shown pictures of them. I'm so happy for them. And like, my aunt let me know, like, you honored your grandmother properly in that first podcast. And I'm like, all right, that's you talk about making you feel good. But I know ladies have different aspects of their identities. They're integrated. There's this coming to self. Like, I'm not just one thing. You're not just a mom. Is there any part of your identity that we haven't necessarily touched on that you think would be worth highlighting, or just noting how, like, it's affected you? What a good question. You got to have it as the last one too, so people have to ponder. I mean, I do think it's a good question, because I have noticed over the years it's easy for me to fall into work as a complete identity, or motherhood as a complete identity. And so I think there's this, like, the idea of capital S self, right? If we're going to go a little like Dick Schwartz and IFS on it, all right? Pull out the letters. Like this capital S self. I am a self, right? Beyond all of these roles and responsibilities. And while I do want to be, they're important parts of my identity, there are also kind of roles and responsibilities that are sometimes placed upon, right?
Naturally, yeah.
Right. And so knowing that I can, maybe it's a part of that spiritual identity, and spirituality to me is not just religion, right? But this connectedness to self, to others. Where do something bigger, right? Than the roles of motherhood. There's not really a label for it, but just knowing like, for me, it's an important part of my self-care. It may not be for everyone.
It doesn't have to be.
But that there is sort of this effusive nature of what it means to be human, that we can grow, we can change, and there is more than just the daily grind and the day-to-day.
More than the sum of our responsibilities.
Yes. And so taking that time out to connect, have a quiet moment, meet a friend, be a loving presence to someone else out in the world, just to be with someone, that
to commune.
Yeah. To me, that's also a part of it. And it's hard to describe and label.
I think you're describing it quite well.
I'm glad you're able to pick up what I'm putting down. I hope your viewers are as well.
I hope so too. Yes. But yes, we have communed. We happen to be neighbors. We both live in the same neck of the woods, and we'll grab lunch or brunch every now and then and just catch up. You were kind enough to invite me and my family over last summer so that we can go swimming. You had mentioned it many times, and I was like, yeah, sure, cool. And hadn't really found a good time in the schedule to pull it off, but then we did it. And I think our two daughters, who are around the same age, had a great time together. And you got to hang out with me and my little one, and I got to hang out with you and your husband, and we were just talking about life, and it was great.
That was wonderful. We should definitely do that again. Yeah. And I believe you're a big sports fan.
I love sports.
Okay, so sports are always on at our house, so maybe we need to connect over this as well.
Well, hey, we got plenty of time. God willing, we'll be here for a while, and also we'll be in the same neck of the woods for a while. But I really do thank you for making some time to talk with me today, especially in your beautiful office.
Yes.
You got a nice thing going here. It was hard to let you go from Insight, but I understood, everybody's got to transition into a place that is working for them. And this seems to be working for you quite well. You seem to be very happy here, and I'm very happy for you. But is there any place that you want people keeping up with you? Like, I know everybody's got a social media, but not everybody wants to be followed on social media. But if there's any place that you want people to keep an eye out for Abbie, where would it be?
Oh, wow. Well, I do have a website. It's just AbbieShlesinger.com.
Okay. So
you can find me there. You can find me at LindsayHoskins.com. And then I struggle with this. I know all the therapists are telling you to get an Instagram and start some social media. I did create an account. It's called Dear Abbie Therapist. I have 0 posts.
Right.
So I'm starting to think about what that might look like to have more of a social presence.
You're on LinkedIn, right?
I am on LinkedIn. Yes. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Abbie Shlesinger.
Links in the description.
Yes,
we got you covered.
Yes. We'll have it all posted there.
Yes.
But yeah, I am so glad we got to do this. So grateful. I think it's wonderful to see a clinician who has the energy to do the clinical work and, the education and the connection through social media and that online presence. And
this is actually part of my self-care. This is something like I turned 40 in January, and I was really excited about this year for a number of reasons. And doing this podcast, being more active on social media for the right reasons. Like I'm not just posting a bunch of garbage just to say I've got something up every day. I'm not looking to go viral. If that happens, that's great. I'm not doing this so that it can be monetized. If that happens, that's great. I'm literally just doing this because it's something I wanted to do, and I think it can be beneficial to people. And each time I'm editing a video or like looking at, it's been so many good interviews so far, and I'm sure this will be just as good. And I'm really excited about posting. I actually even know where I want to post it in May. Like I can already vision it. But like that process, that creative process, that's part of putting water back into my pitcher so that I can pour it out. Like I'm going to leave here and have 2 virtual sessions, and I'm going to be that much better because we were able to sit and talk and do this today.
Yes. Well, I'm so grateful to be a part of your process, a part of your self-care.
and a part of my village.
And a part of your village.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, I'm just so grateful. My first podcast. Thanks for joining
You're out
me.
Here now. You're out here.
The nerves are starting to settle right as we wind down.
That's the way it works. Yeah. But for you, please click like, click share, and subscribe. And please, if you got any thoughts, share them in the comments section, and be well.